Okay, welcome back. You inhaled your food, those of you who are here right now. Some of those are still outside chewing and about to come in. We are going to jump right into our first segment of the afternoon session, which is identifying principles that reveal God in music. Kayson Brown, who is the director of our American Heritage Lyceum Orchestras program, will be our presenter. He's a phenomenal talent. He is really responsible for nearly 200 students that we have in orchestra programs from kindergarten through 12th grade, as well as a traveling philharmonic that has garnered many Best of State awards. He just recently received from the Utah Best of State organization the award for Music Educator of the Year, and so he's a tremendous talent. But I think what you'll feel today is what we believe about music and American heritage, that of all the subjects we teach, and this is true of the home as well in terms of Christian educators in the home, if educating hearts is the high road to educating the mind, which is the way Lincoln put that educating the heart is the high road to the mind, then music is that discipline that has more power to change the heart than nearly anything else we teach. And so we always include a component in our foundations training that is very specifically about music education and its power in the principle approach. Music bypasses all of the didactic barriers, the biases of the brain, and goes straight to the heart. And so we have with us today Kayson Brown, but also Melanie Shore, who is the accompanist. Here she is right here. Thank you for being with us, Melanie. Let's give Kayson Brown and Melanie Shore a big round of applause and welcome.
I like that little extra from Mr. Anderson. Thanks, Leila. Knows how to make a guy feel welcome. Hey, are you well fed or not fed at all? Because you're here. I hope that you're well fed, and we'll see if we can't feed you a little bit more. Although I didn't pack a lunch, so it'll have to be musical meals. I'm going to talk a little bit today about music, what it does for us, what it does for the soul, and what it is, in a way that I hope that you haven't thought about before. Music has a unique power to take the internal and make it external. When you think about your feelings or your emotions, what you feel inside, it's so important to you. It governs almost every decision that you make, how you feel, right? How you feel determines largely who you'll marry or what you'll do with your life, right? Those emotions are incredibly powerful, but they don't make it out of your body. They're trapped, essentially, inside of you. Music is one of the few things that can translate those emotions into the physical world. Plato talked about how astronomy was the organization of the heavenly bodies, and how music was the reflection of that internally. It takes all the moving parts that are within you, unseen parts of your soul, and it gives them voice. Music is in so many ways translation. It takes the intangible and brings it into the physical world. You can see music, right? You can hear music. I'm going to need this later. You can hear music, and it can be emotion. Once you've got those emotions out of you, then you can communicate. Right? These intense feelings that we have, we can communicate them soul to soul. You know, if I want to communicate with you, I'll generally describe something. I'll tell you how I feel. Well, music doesn't require me to tell you anything. We're not describing the emotion. We are communicating that emotion soul to soul, spirit to spirit. I want to pick a fairly extreme example of music to illustrate this point. In the 1940s, there was a young composer named Oliver Messiaen. He was living in France, and he joined the war effort. He wasn't a fighter, he was a musician, and became a nurse and a medic. When Nazi Germany took over France, they captured Messiaen. He became a prisoner of war in a Nazi prisoner of war camp. When they searched him, they were surprised to find no weapons, no gauze, no guns, just sheet music and a pen, because that's who he really was. And they gave him some special privileges in this prisoner of war camp. They allowed him to write some music and even to perform it. And the piece that I'm about to perform for you was written in a Nazi prisoner of war camp. Its premiere was given in -5 Fahrenheit weather. Messiaen was wearing wooden shoes, was suffering from exposure from -5 Fahrenheit. There were somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 fellow prisoners of war that heard him play on a broken old piano and a broken old cello. The other prisoners, of course, played the cello. Now, however you're feeling right now after lunch, I want you to write it down. If you're taking notes, write down how are you feeling right now after lunch. You're hopefully not bored already. If you're not taking notes, just make a mental note. How am I feeling more or less right now? And we'll see how this piece does at communicating. Oliver Messiaen's from the Quartet of the End of Time. It's called Louange à l'éternité de Jésus, which is praise to the eternalness of Jesus. So I'm wondering what, look down at your notes. What did you write down? How were you feeling 10 minutes ago? Raise your hand if you're feeling substantially differently than you felt 10 minutes ago. Keep them up. Some of you didn't, some of you weren't affected by that. Some of you seem to have been, raise them up. Let's see. I know anyone's hanging back there. Back there in the red sweater, what were you feeling before and what were you feeling after? Speak up.
Still hungry?
Still hungry.
It was a quick lunch. Now, music was so, it really reaches the soul. It's very sad. You feel this sadness and depression on you.
Yeah. That's not a place that I like to go very often or for very long. It's very difficult to rehearse and to practice it because you don't even want to. You don't even want to play it. I could describe to you what the conditions were in a Nazi prisoner of war camp, right, where you no longer have any freedom, where you're in the worst, most degrading possible circumstances that you can imagine. I could describe that to you, but you still would only have a kernel of an imagination of what it would feel like to be that person locked away. Or I could play a piece of music that was written by someone who was there. And immediately, you know, at least to some degree, what it felt like to be there. Music has the power to communicate in a way that is almost impossible for you to resist. The music is interpreted by the subconscious as well as the conscious portions of the mind, right? You hear music in the same way that you see the outdoors, right? Music is to the ears what light is to the eyes, what food is to the taste, what the air and texture are to your skin, right? It's a sense. And because of that, it comes right in. Comes right in. And you know, everything that I say, you might listen and think, well, I don't agree with Kayson here, or I don't like that, or you're going to put everything through the filter of your own experience and your own beliefs, right? But not music. You don't look at the sunset and say, I don't believe that the sun is setting, right? You don't taste food and say, I don't believe that I'm tasting food. You can't. You can't deny your senses. They exist. They come right in. The music is so powerful in this way. Literally everyone here, everyone within the sound of my cello is going to be affected by the music that we play. If I had played a very happy showpiece, you'd all have a very different demeanor right now. In the course of those 10 minutes, I've affected you. It's an incredible piece that way. You know, it's only 34 measures long. So I know there's some musicians here in the audience. He writes at the beginning of it, infinitely slow and majestic. 16th note equals 44. Right? That 10 minutes of music took him 34 measures to write. 34 measures for 10 minutes. A half note was 12 seconds. And I'm just looking at his hand saying, please make it all the way to the end of the bow in 12 seconds. 12 seconds to go from here to here is what I have to do, right? It's incredibly difficult to control. So reception, it's coming in whether you want it or not. For some of you who are still eating, music is a translation of your emotions, right? It takes the internal and makes it physical, puts it out in the world. Communication, it communicates that emotion. Now that it's outside of your body, now that it's no longer trapped, it communicates directly, spirit to spirit. And it's received by the listener in a way that your subconscious has very little defense for, which makes it a prescription. You choose what music you listen to. So you decide whether you're taking into your body medicine or poison. Right? If my music is going to affect you, then you have to decide what kind of effect you're going to allow your spirit, your emotions to feel. Isn't it interesting that in almost every example that we have of deprived society, right, in the throes of slavery, we have the Negro spiritual that comes to rise, one of the most important musical developments in America. In Stalinist Russia, we have some of the most amazing composers, Shostakovich and others, who come to light with brilliant music. Right? In a Nazi prisoner of war camp, we end up with Messiaen. In situations where we have no luxuries and only necessities, music repeatedly returns. It is a spiritual need for us. It is. I don't think that he was there to entertain the POWs. Do you? Were you entertained by my music? No. It had nothing to do with entertainment. It was a prescription. It was taking the internal pains and bringing them cathartically out, communicating them, embracing them. I'm talking too long, so I'll have to shorten this story up, but I have a student right now. This student's been taking with me for 6 years, cello. Every week they come, we make music together. Nothing that abnormal, but this particular student's been through all of the horrible things that a young person can go through at a time when they're going from age 8 to 14. Divorce, abuse, cancer, all the things that destroy, that break people, right? She's had it one after another. And the other week I noticed a change in the student's demeanor, and I talked to the parent. I said, what music is the student listening to? He said, well, screaming man music. The darkest, ugliest thing that you can listen to. That's what she listens to, because she's broken inside. I explained to the parent. You've got a young daughter who's broken inside. And when she listens to screaming man music, all of a sudden, she feels that anger is making her normal, right? She's angry, the music's angry. When you're sad, do you listen to happy music to cheer you up? No, you listen to sad music to make you feel at home. Listen to sad music so you have a friend to commiserate with, right? When you're angry, you listen to angry music. And these teenagers, it's one of the very first things that you will see in the process of rebellion is pulling out music that rebels. Right? Rock and roll, if you've had any sense of what the dark places are on this earth, and there are many, almost every single one of them has music that will accompany that darkness, that will make that soul feel like its darkness has a home. Right? By the same token, you can raise yourself out of darkness by finding music that is not broken. The range of emotion in classical music is wide. In a 70-minute Mahler symphony, I think the full range of emotion is expressed from the divine to the obscene. The great thing about music, classical music, is that it works itself out. Right? We don't have classical music that ends in ugliness. Even this ended in a major key. Did you hear it? High E. We held it for a long time. Music can be a prescription for your soul. We're running out of time, so I want to play one last piece of music, and we'll skip exploration. But I'm going to play a piece of music that I think is music to, or is medicine to any soul. It's from Rachmaninoff's Sonata for Cello. There's no words. There's no dramatic story. It wasn't written in a POW camp. He was 28. I think he was probably in love from the sound of it. But it's the sort of thing that hopefully will lift any heart. Before I end, I really have to thank Mel Shore, who does all the heavy lifting on this piece. She's a phenomenal pianist. Can we have a round of applause for my lovely pianist?
Thank you, Kayson and Melanie. I think the point here is that if music is not already a part of your teaching and learning in your home, in your classroom, just reflect once again upon the power of that method, no matter what the other subjects are. And we use music frequently in various subjects of American Heritage to do just this, to open the heart, to lead to the mind. So especially sacred music when we're talking about character education.